Good evening. Your dog has no idea that whales exist. Okay, we've dispensed with formalities now. I recorded in process of hammering out the Kiridashi I'm making for my dad, and because I don't fully understand the KindMaster app yet, it said the 48 minutes of footage I shot was too large to upload. So I went through and got rid of what I thought were the excess copies of the files that were created while I was editing everything, and I got rid of the files the app uses to distribute the video footage once it's assembled. So that footage is totally lost. The upshot about that is y'all were saved, the two of you that watch, were saved about 30 minutes of watching me fight with my forge. It was sputtering, coughing, wasn't firing right, and I thought it was because it was like 40 degrees and the wind chill was making it feel like 35 all day. No, I have a fan that the bladesmith that I'm learning stuff from advised me to set up to push excess heat out of the garage so I don't burn anything up here. And I had it at exactly the wrong angle, and it hit the little jet on the side and screwed up the flow of propane. I got mad 2 seconds before I was going to give it up for the day. Slid the fan back like 2 feet and pointed it up like 1 notch. That fixed it. So I spared myself the next day of fighting with the exact same problem all day and not diagnosing it correctly. But where we're at now with this is what I hammered out of a little square piece of leaf spring. Let's see if I can find the other piece. Let's see, I put it somewhere because that second piece is going to be my other Kiridashi. And I set it somewhere, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to find it and come back. I thought I had it somewhere convenient. Okay, so I found it. And I started with the other side to this. This was a full width piece of leaf spring that got split down the middle. I tried to split the whole leaf spring down the middle, and that's not going to work with an ankle grinder and where my skills are at today. I have come to terms with that. This was the narrower of the two sides because this is going to be a narrower Kiridashi with a longer, more steeply slanted tip on it, because it'll be for carving linoleum and getting in and doing fine detail work. This is what I got out of the other side, which was a bit wider. And this is for a left-handed guy with very large hands. Now, I made this left-handed on accident, all right? You hold it like this, your finger sits in this well right here, and the bevel is right there. This is one of the first times I've really gotten a point, like, here's a side-by-side comparison, okay? This is the first time that I have been able to successfully draw out a handle this far without grinding all of it off. And the first time I've been able to hammer a tip out all the way without grinding whatever mess I made into a tip-like shape. Now, this, I had everything set up and I started hammering the bevel in, and I didn't really give it much thought. And then I knocked the finger well in where it was supposed to be, and I grabbed it in my right hand. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. If you hold it right-handed, you gotta hold it upside down and use it to plane like that. And I mean, you can use it right-handed to scribe and everything else, but once you put it in the left hand, you've got the bevel on the top, you got it facing the right direction. You can use it to plane and file things and use it basically as it's intended by the Japanese people that invented this thing in the first place. So today's project is going to be grinding the rough shape out and getting it ready for heat treat. This will not be going to heat treat for a while because the day before yesterday, I ordered my maker's mark. This might be a hair premature, but because I can do stuff like this where it's a single piece of steel, it's thick enough that once it's thermocycled, it goes in the quench, it's probably not going to crack. You're not going to have a bunch of stress fractures. So things like this, if I make some tongs, I can put my mark on them, and they're ready to either go to someone that needs them, or they will just look great at my shop and I can look at it and go, yes, I made that. And that's the mark right there. That's the mark of this shop. I got this tattoo like 7 years ago, give or take. And I was like, this is a cool design and it makes no sense, but I want it. I'll figure out what to do with it later. We have now arrived at that point. I know what to do with it. And I ordered the mark from Buckeye Engraving, as was recommended by the Forging It Forward group. The eBay seller that I found was cheaper by about, I don't know, 40 bucks. But I figure for 40 bucks, it's probably worth it just to have someone that can answer the phone if it shows up and something's wrong. Probably going to wind up doing a better job with the engraving and everything else, if I'm being totally honest. So, I'm going to go ahead and start the first grind on this, and then for the next little while, it's just going to be little bits and pieces here so that I don't have longer. My goal after that 48-minute video is to keep videos down to 11 to 15 minutes. I'm not Chandler Dickinson. People don't like me enough for me to get away with an hour and 20-minute video. And someone like me is not going to sit through an hour and 20-minute video of me doing this. So, and Chandler, odds are slim you're ever going to see this, but I am so glad you're moving into a nicer shop, and I cannot wait to see the first project you get out the door. It's going to be awesome. So, we'll start this grind, and I'm going to put my ears in. These earbuds block out all kinds of outside noise. I use them for everything. When I was working, be on a tractor, be on like a Toro 4500, big ass mower, things like that. They block out noise wonderfully. Use them at the shooting range. And if you turn the music on low, you really don't notice any outside noise going on. Now the shooting range is different. I'm in a stall with my little 22 pistol because all I care about is where the hole in the paper is, not the size of the hole in the paper. I don't know if someone next to me has walked into the next stall with a shotgun. Once I get rid of the last 3 drops of pee from that, I realize these do work, but not as well as I'd hoped. So let's get firing on this. And what I want to do today, all right, is create this edge and give it sharp corners. I want to clean this bevel up, and I'm going to have to go into the other room with the bench grinder and open this up and smooth it out a little bit so that it can be gotten into on the edge of this platen and turned into something up. It's comfortable now, but it could be a lot more comfortable. And that's what I'm going for, is ease of use. And I've got to flatten out these low spots that you kind of see it's pretty irregular. So there's going to be a lot of cleanup work on the 60 grit belt. I'm going to put this belt through all kinds of grief. Again, almost use profanity, not doing that. So here we go. And I've got a 5-gallon bucket of water down here to catch everything so that I have less mess to clean up. And a little tub of water here to cool the piece down while I work, because I'm going barehanded, because gloves with anything moving, again, huge no-no. Don't do it. I mean, you can do it if you feel like you own too many fingers, but I'm kind of attached to mine. Only other thing that I'll mention about safety right this minute is I am wearing steel-toed work boots, because you never know when a piece is going to slip out of your hand and the belt's going to catch it just right and it just goes straight down. Saw a picture of one guy, I think it was Texas Knife Makers Guild. The tip of his knife hit the contact wheel on his belt sander, or on his belt grinder. He had that thing buried up to here in the ceiling directly above his head. Always plan on something bad happening. And yeah, I bought this chair specifically to sit at this grinder. Alright, I'll be back with y'all in a while here. Alright, so really quick status update. And this is basically for educational purposes for newer smiths. You guys that have been at this for a while already know. The better your hammer work is, the less money you spend on abrasives. This is an example. I've been grinding this for a little bit, and thank God I had the presence of mind to order a multi-pack of belts, 2 multi-packs of belts from eBay. That included a 60 grit, because I would have been doing this on an 80 grit belt intended mostly for wood and cleanup work, and this would have been like 5 hours of grinding. I've also started this edge so that when I run the bevel on it, you know, I'll have a nice point to meet to, and this will be grinding thick. But, you know, progress is being made. I just wanted to show you, especially if you're thinking about starting forging, practice your hammer work, practice smoothing things out, make things as smooth as you can. This was as smooth as I could make this one. Now that I know some of the things to look out for while I'm doing the work, the next one should be a little better. We grinded stuff. Okay, I don't know if you remember about 3-4 minutes ago I said something about your hammer work. I've had to turn this diagonal on the plating to try to get everything smoothed down flat, because the flatter I get this, the more heartache I'm going to save myself on those marble slabs with fine sandpaper glued down to them. I just wanted to stop and show you this part of the process. I got everything smoothed out. It's starting to look really, really good. It's starting to look like I wanted it to, which is amazing. And I'm going to keep going, and I will check back in a while when I got more interesting stuff done. Okay, status update. I went back into the other half of the workshop to try to find a wood block so I don't have to stop this nearly as often. There'll still be short grinding runs, but less short. And I went ahead and took the bench grinder and cleaned up a lot of the mess on this edge and opened the finger well up some so I can soften this edge. Left a nice little low spot for the thumb right here, so this is actually a really comfortable, clean fit. Once I get through with rough grinding and smoothing out this flat and getting this side done, I'm going to just go over these sharp edges right here and break them down a little bit so it's more comfortable to hold. Once that's done, it'll be time for this to sit until the maker's mark shows up so I can get it hot, stamp it, quench it, and throw it in the oven at 400 degrees for like 2 hours. And then I can go through and do all the final sanding and polishing that's going to take forever and a half. But either way, I'll be back in a bit. Okay, change of plans. I'm going to take the wheel of death here and I'm going to hog some material off the back of that and flip it over and hog some off the front and get it smoother so that I don't have to spend as much time on the belt grinder. Let's see what happens. I'll be back. Okay, so this is where we're at with this. I knocked down a lot of this high spot. I didn't touch my bevel yet. I did cook that corner right there, so I'll have to grind this a little shorter, but that ain't going to be a big deal. As a matter of fact, leaving that as some sacrificial materials is not a bad idea because I'm going to have to work this side to go a bit longer to get it totally flat, but I think I've at least made some progress. So either way, back on it, back in a few. Okay, I'm back. The more keen-eyed of you may notice a suspicious mustard stain that magically appeared on my shirt. I'm going to let you in on a secret. Through the magic of editing, I'm making it look like I'm working faster than I actually am. And at Wendy's, there was a double stack that was mildly incontinent. I'm not sure what was going on when I last dropped an update, but you can see how far I've gotten with flattening this bad boy out. Getting close on this end. Not so worried about the handle. I can smooth that out. It's going to be round anyways, or at least rounded. And I don't want it perfectly flat because it's not comfortable when you're really like putting pressure on it and digging in. So off to the races. We'll see what happens, and I'll check back in with you later. have taken the Kiridashi to its finished rough ground state. Here is the front. You can see where that bevel is right there. And that is for going in and scraping things, and of course scribing everything else you do with the Kiridashi. Here's the back. It's not perfectly flat, and that's okay. The only part that has to be flat is this right here. What's going to happen is I'm going to take this to sanding after I do my heat treat and try to get that smoother, and I can leave some of the roughness back there for extra grip and comfort, but at least polish it some and get rid of the marks and make it feel nice. And remember, this started off life as this. This is a hell of a lot better than I thought I was going to do with this, to be honest with you. But now it's just got to wait till I get my maker's mark and it'll be good to go. That is it for today's part of the project. This will be on hold for a couple of weeks until the mark gets here. And we will revisit this when I can get this thrown in the forge, punched, and then thrown in the quench bucket. I'll thermocycle it one more time. It's already gone through like 4 different thermocycles. Ran it up to where the magnet wouldn't read it and set it in the forge, let it get down to black cold again. Not room temperature, but brought it back up to non-magnetic, turned the forge off, let it cool down. Did that like 4 times. And then of course, after that it sat and got down to ambient temperature. So, you know, it should be fairly stress-free, but I'd like to make sure because I have a lot of hours tied up in this, and actually I'm really proud of how this turned out. And even right-handed, this will still be pretty good, but this is definitely geared for a lefty. So either way, remember, praise the forge, pass the borax. We gonna get out of here.